Well, as I explained, we respect the United States. Let us be very clear, the United States has helped Indonesia in the critical moments of Indonesian history. This we must acknowledge. In our war of independence, the United States basically sided with Indonesia. That is a part of history. The United States put strong pressure on the Dutch to negotiate and to hand over sovereignty. That is part of history. So no doubt about it that we cannot forget this debt of honor to the United States of America. In critical time, they sided with us. Also, I would like to say, Australia sided with us in our War of Independence. This is a fact of history. In fact, when there was a United Nations mediation effort, and there was a committee of good officers, if I'm not mistaken, that was the committee of good officers. The Netherlands chose Belgium, right? That's a no-brainer, right? But Indonesia chose Australia, and the United States was chosen by the United Nations. That shows the depth of our relationship. And we don't forget our friends in difficult times. However, we also recognize China's importance in Southeast Asia and also for Indonesia now. As I said, China is a great civilization. It has contributed a lot, and now it is very, 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 very active and contributing a lot to our economy. Russia, we also cannot forget. Russia helped Indonesia also in difficult times. Yes, at that time it was called the Soviet Union, but if you see Jakarta now, if you see our capital city, many of the great public works built by, at that time, Soviet Union, by Russian and by, let us say, Eastern Bloc countries. So this is, if you ask me, we have to give due respect to these great powers. Yeah. We also have to respect and have the best of relations with India, with the Islamic countries, of course. We are majority Muslim, with Japan. So basically, Indonesia's, my philosophy is 1,000 friends too few, one enemy too many. This is easier said than done. It is easy to say, but it's not easy to carry out. But this is, I'm convinced, even now, this is my philosophy in my my domestic politics, as you may have observed, right? I'm friends with everybody. Even if they don't want to be friends with me, I still want to be friends with them, right? Huh? I learned this the hard way, through a long process, When you are young, sometimes you are a bit, you are a bit unwise. As time goes on, so I'm convinced this is, and actually, I regret that I learned this teaching a bit late in my life. Had I learned it maybe in my 30s and 40s, maybe, I don't know, my biography would be a bit different. Yeah. But it's okay. Yeah, better late than never. So Pa Phillips, that is my philosophy, right? I mean, I'm sorry if somebody wants to get us here and get us there. I said, no, we are friends with all. And maybe as friends to many sides, we can be of assistance. We can be some sort of bridge. We can be some sort of, when we needed them, they helped us. Maybe now we should give a payback. We should help those who once helped us. So I think that is my position regarding relations with the great powers.
Thank you, Pak Prabowo. I still have 15 minutes of your time, so I have one or two more questions before I open the floor. Something sounded like music to my ears when you were saying that basically foreign policy begins at home, that poverty alleviation should be very important, and then all domestic stabilities and so on. And we know that China has been praised by many reports that successive Chinese governments since 1970s have been able to lift more than 700 million people out of poverty. Would you emulate the way the Chinese governments are doing in terms of poverty alleviation?
Is this a trick question? I want to make something very clear. Yeah? I do admire and acknowledge the success of the Chinese leaders in nearly eradicating poverty. I think we have to. Anybody with any fairness in the rationality, etc., must acknowledge that the Chinese leaders has achieved something very rare in human history, to lift 700 million people out of poverty in one generation, in 40 years. That is a real achievement. So in my opinion, you know, each country, each civilization has its own culture, has its own way of doing things. If a government in one country succeeded in mitigating or even eradicating poverty, I think it behooves us to try to learn how they did it. But it does not mean that we can copy their methods. Maybe their methods is not in tune with our culture. So we have to adjust. At the same time, you know, many of our people, especially the educated elite, you know, for the last 50 years, maybe 60 years, we have been always looking to the West. I think it's normal. We were colonized by the West, so a lot of our experience, our thinking, we like to emulate the West, because the West, no doubt, has succeeded in many, many fields. Industrial Revolution, Reformation, the Renaissance, development of democracy. We must acknowledge the great strides of the West. But on the other hand, we cannot copy what works for the West. We cannot bring to Indonesia and try to, or bring anywhere in the world and try to carry it out, especially in the West. So there are nuances. So I think there must be a rebalancing. And now we have to learn from other countries from the East. the Japanese experience, the Korean experience, the Chinese experience, the Indian experience. So this is my position, that we admire what the Chinese has done, tremendous achievement. I mean, and I think many of the Chinese leaders are true to their principles and true to their conviction. They understand that they have to serve the people. So I think this is the message that not that we can copy, we can emulate everything they have done. No, we have our way of doing things. They have their way of doing things. Yeah, we can emulate. Maybe their commitment against corruption, their focus on education, their strong discipline, their strong national pride. You know, this we admire. You know, if you go to a Chinese high school, you will find out they spend many hours in the school. They go home maybe 9 o'clock at night. So this type of dedication, this type of commitment, it's something that it behooves us to study and to try to adopt some of the best practices. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jelajahi cara baru mendapatkan informasi. Download Metro TV Extend sekarang.